A dog trapped in a deep, dark well, its frantic barking echoing for help. No one knows how long it's been there, but one thing is certain: time is running out. Will the rescue team arrive in time to save this brave German Shepherd? It started with a faint, distant sound, a barking that seemed to carry through the woods. At first, it was hard to place, a strange noise that didn't quite belong. But as the wind shifted, it became clearer, more frantic. The barking grew louder and more desperate, and it was impossible to ignore that a local hiker, walking along a narrow path, stopped in his tracks. The bark wasn't like any he had heard before. It was urgent, almost as if it was calling out for help. He followed the sound through the trees, his heart racing with each step. And then he saw it. There, at the edge of a thick forest, stood an old, abandoned well, its stone walls weathered by years of neglect. But what caught his attention was the German Shepherd, its eyes wide with fear, staring up from the bottom of the well. The dog's barking continued, now more frantic. It was clear that the poor animal had no way to climb out. It was trapped. His heart raced as he pulled out his phone and dialed the local authorities, his hands shaking as he spoke. "There's a dog trapped in a well," he said, his voice tight with urgency. "It's deep inside, and it looks like it can't get out. Please hurry." The dispatcher assured him help was on the way, but the hiker wasn't about to wait around. He couldn't just stand there while the dog's cries echoed through the woods. Within minutes, the first responders arrived, a couple of local officers and animal control officers. They assessed the situation quickly, eyes narrowing as they looked at the steep, narrow well. The dog, a German Shepherd, had clearly been stuck for a while. Its fur was matted with dirt, and its legs were trembling. It was in a panic, but still, it seemed to be holding on. The team immediately realized they needed more help. This wasn't something that could be handled with just a few tools and manpower. The well was too deep, and the sides too steep. They called in the rescue team, specialized experts who had experience handling challenging, life-threatening rescues. Time was running out, and every second felt like an eternity. As the call for help was made, a specialized rescue team quickly mobilized. These were no ordinary first responders. They were highly trained professionals who had faced some of the most perilous situations imaginable. They were the ones called in when every second counted, and lives hung in the balance. Leading the team was Captain Emily, a seasoned rescuer with years of experience in high-risk operations. Her calm demeanor under pressure had earned her the respect of everyone who worked with her. "We've got a dog trapped in a well," she said, as the team gathered around to plan their approach. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed the urgency of the situation. "We need to move fast, but we need to be careful. We can't afford to make any mistakes." The rest of the team, including Jake and Marcus, were equally experienced, with each having their own specialty. Jake, the rope expert, quickly started setting up the harnesses and pulleys, while Marcus, a former firefighter, worked on securing the area around the well. The team's coordination was seamless. They had done this countless times before, but today was different. Captain Emily stood at the edge of the well, her eyes scanning the narrow opening. The German Shepherd's desperate barking echoed up. To them, a constant reminder of the urgency of the situation. Jake was already preparing the ropes, his hands moving swiftly as he secured everything in place. "We need to be ready to lower someone down," he muttered, adjusting the harness to ensure it was secure. Marcus stood by, keeping a watchful eye on the well structure. "We don't know how stable the ground around this well is," he said, his voice laced with concern. "We'll have to be careful. One wrong move, and it could collapse." The team nodded in agreement. There was no room for error. As they prepared, the German Shepherd's barking became more frantic. It was as though the dog sensed help was on the way, but its fear of the unknown made it grow even more agitated. The dog's claws scraped against the stone walls of the well as it paced, trying desperately to find a way out. Emily took a deep breath and looked at the team. "We're going in," she said, her voice resolute. With the rope in place, Jake volunteered to descend first. Slowly, he lowered himself into the well, inch by inch, his heart pounding in his chest. The space was tight, the air growing cooler as he descended deeper. When he finally reached the bottom, he could see the German Shepherd, its eyes wide with fear, its body trembling, but alive. The dog didn't trust him at first, retreating to the farthest corner of the well. Jake crouched down, speaking in a soft, calming voice. "It's okay, buddy. We're here to help." Slowly, the dog inched closer, its fear palpable. The tension was thick as Jake reached out, knowing the slightest movement could make the dog panic. But with a deep breath, Jake gently placed his hand on the dog's shoulder, offering reassurance. As Jake gently approached the German Shepherd, the animal's eyes locked onto his with a mixture of fear and desperation. The dog's body trembled, its fur caked with dirt, and its breath came in sharp, uneven gasps. Jake's heart clenched as he knelt down, his voice soft but firm. "Hey there, I've got you," he whispered, extending his hand slowly, careful not to startle the dog. For a long moment, the dog didn't move, its gaze unwavering. Jake could see the trust building in its eyes, a fragile connection forming between them. With a quiet whimper, the dog stepped closer, its trembling legs slowly carrying it towards Jake. The moment was tense, the air thick with anticipation. One wrong move, and the dog could bolt, making the rescue even more difficult. Finally, with a small, trusting whimper, the German Shepherd allowed Jake to gently slide a harness over its body. There was a collective sigh of relief from the team above, but Jake didn't let his guard down. Slowly, carefully, he attached the rescue line to the harness. "You're doing great, buddy," he murmured, his hand still resting on the dog's fur, offering the comfort the animal so desperately needed. With a tug of the rope, Jake signaled to the team above, and the dog was slowly lifted from the depths of the well. As the German Shepherd was hoisted into the air, it let out a soft bark, its tail wagging for the first time since being trapped. Once the German Shepherd was safely pulled from the well, the team let out a collective sigh of relief. The dog, now out of danger, was visibly exhausted, its body still trembling, but there was a noticeable change in its demeanor. The fear in its eyes had softened, replaced by cautious curiosity. The worst was over. The rescue team quickly surrounded the dog, offering gentle reassurance as they checked for any signs of injury. The paramedics arrived shortly after, assessing the dog's condition. Despite being bruised and scraped from its ordeal, the shepherd's spirit was unbroken. The vet gave it a thorough examination, confirming that the dog was in surprisingly good health, considering the circumstances. It would need a few days to recover, but nothing too serious. The rescue team gathered around. A local shelter volunteer stepped forward, her face filled with warmth. "We'll make sure he's taken care of," she said, her hand gently resting on the dog's head. The German Shepherd looked up at her, its eyes softer now, and for the first time in what felt like forever, it seemed to find comfort. The rescue team stood back, watching the German Shepherd being carefully led to safety. A wave of relief washed over them. They had done it. They had saved a life. The dog, once trapped in a dark and unforgiving well, was now safe, its tail wagging gently as it took its first steps toward freedom. Captain Emily watched the dog, her heart swelling with pride. "This is why we do it," she said, her voice soft but filled with conviction. "It's not just about the job. It's about making sure no animal, gets left behind." As the German Shepherd was taken to the shelter, ready for a new chapter, the team's work was far from over. But in this moment, they knew they had made a difference. And as the sun set, they walked away with the quiet satisfaction of knowing they had saved a life.